Welcome all of you to your practice this evening. As always, I just want to remind you before we get started that this is your time. This is your practice, your experience. So I am just here to give you some ideas, some suggestions, and then each of us get to choose what feels comfortable and instinctive and good for our bodies today. So following what feels comfortable for you today. Before we dive in, I just wanted to share, I received a beautiful little book from a friend this week, and a quote from the book just really has stuck with me. It's just a magical little story between a horse and a little boy. And they're on this journey, and at some point the boy looks forward and says, look how far we have to go. And he sighs. And then the horse says, yes, but look how far we've come. And that's really spoken to me recently, and maybe it will speak to you as well. All right. So to begin your practice, if you'd like to, you could come to a place that feels comfortable for you. So that may be seated, that may be lying down. You may choose to find a yoga form that your body needs right now. And just giving yourself a moment to kind of settle in, getting out any little movements that you need to get out so that you feel perhaps ready for a moment of stillness. Maybe a moment to slow down. Perhaps your eyes close, or maybe you keep your eyes open. And if it's useful to you, you could begin to kind of let go of your day. And one way to do that is to take a deeper inhale, maybe through your nose. And then as you exhale out through your mouth, you could imagine just releasing or letting go of your day, your work, your to-do list. So breathing in at your own pace, maybe through your nose. And using your exhales to let go of anything you'd like to let go of right now. Letting go so that you can be here in the present moment for your practice. We'll take a few more cycles of breath at your own pace. If you'd like to set an intention for your practice, one way to do that is to reach all the way up and breathe in. And as you exhale, maybe you bring your hands towards your heart. So your palms could rest against each other. You could also stack your hands in your chest if you prefer. And if you have brought an intention with you today, you could use that as your guide. Otherwise, I'd love to offer you this idea of honoring how far you've come and whatever that means for you today. When you feel ready for some movement, you could reach all the way up and maybe breathe in. Then as we exhale, maybe you circle your wrists. Maybe you release your arms down alongside your body. Now, if you're seated, you could begin a little bit of side to side movement, maybe using the support of your hands. If you're lying down, maybe starting to bring your knees into your chest, you could roll on to one side and Begin coming towards seated. And this side to side movement can really be at any pace or speed. So listening to your body, you can always pause on one side. You're also welcome to start sweeping one arm overhead and then the other, warming up, starting our practice pretty gently, feeling a nice stretch along the side of your body maybe. And then if you choose, you could come through center and perhaps your arms are kind of open down alongside your body, turning your palms to face the sky, maybe a slight lift in your heart as you breathe in. And then as you exhale, you could rotate your palms to face the wall behind you, maybe even rounding a little into your upper back, bowing your head, inhaling to rotate open, finding a kind of lift in your heart. Exhaling, maybe you turn your palms to the wall behind you, bowing your head. And just continuing that movement, that beginning of your spinal wave at your own pace. You may also notice sensation in your arms or your shoulders, your fingers. On an inhale, perhaps you reach all the way up. And exhale your palms towards your heart. As you inhale, maybe diving upward. And as we exhale, perhaps sweeping your arms slightly back and down. So taking that again, if you'd like, reaching up to breathe in. Exhaling your palms together towards your chest. Inhaling, diving upward, and exhaling your arms slightly back and all the way back down. So following your own pace here for a few more cycles of that movement. You're welcome to close your eyes, really listening into your shoulders. Now you could continue that sequence if your shoulders are really enjoying that sensation. Otherwise, exhaling your palms together to your heart. Maybe you interlace your fingers. And as you draw your elbows slightly away, maybe you lift one wrist and then the other. And we're certainly not pushing into anything that feels painful or pinchy. The idea is really just to listen into your wrist joints and find a stretch that feels interesting for you. Maybe you continue that movement. Or if you choose to, you could turn your palms away and extend your arms forward, maybe even up overhead. And then find a little bit of that same side to side movement. It may feel slightly different with your hands interlaced overhead. Maybe continuing from side to side, or you could find a little bit of a circle. Still breathing at a pace that feels comfortable for you. If you're circling, you can try both directions. Making your way through center, reaching up to breathe in, and exhaling your arms all the way down alongside your body, pausing here. Maybe you lengthen, a slight lift in your heart to breathe in. And as you exhale, your right fingertips could walk away, landing your palm. Maybe your left arm reaches overhead. And this time, if you'd like, you could pause here. Maybe looking up at the sky. With each exhale, you may notice that you melt slightly further over to the right. And use an inhale to come back through your center, exhaling your left arm down. And before we take that on the other side, if you'd like to, you can rest your hands somewhere comfortable and maybe take a few circles in your shoulders, noticing how you're breathing, and trying out both directions. When you feel ready, releasing your shoulders down and back. Your left fingertips could find the ground beside you, walking them gently away. As you land your left palm, maybe you reach your right arm overhead. You could pause here. You could also come back to kind of hinging from side to side. With each exhale, you may notice that you melt a little further to the left. And then on an inhale, making your way back through your center, exhaling your right arm down. If you'd like, you could come back to those same circles in your shoulders. Another option is to float your fingertips to your shoulders and maybe circle your elbows. Your eyes could close here as you try out both directions. Whenever you feel ready, maybe you bring both elbows forward, possibly bowing your head, maybe even rounding. You may even find that you kind of tuck your tailbone and round slightly back. As you inhale, opening your elbows, maybe you lean forward, finding a lift in your heart. And then exhaling to round, maybe even kind of rocking back towards your tailbone, finding the seated spinal wave. And if you don't want to keep your fingers on your shoulders here, another option is to rest your hands on your shins. Maybe you take 3 or 4 more cycles of this spinal wave at your own pace. And the next time you're hinging forward, maybe you find the ground with your hands and come into our first seated forward fold. You can choose if you want to rock from side to side or find stillness, noticing maybe some sensation towards your seat or your lower back. And we'll just pause here for a few cycles of breath. Using an inhale to start to look forward, slowly coming up through your center. And then we'll just counteract that by bringing your hands slightly behind you. Maybe you find a lift in your heart. Maybe you look slightly upward, breathing in. And then exhale your hands on either side of your body. You can come back to that side to side movement we found at the very beginning of our practice. Another option is to swap out which ankle you have on top if you're sitting with your ankles crossed. And maybe you start to circle your torso. And we'll take this about 3 times in each direction, moving at your pace. As you come through what feels like center for you, on an inhale, perhaps you reach up. As you exhale, circling your wrists, opening to the right and releasing your arms down, coming into our seated twist. Your left hand can rest softly on your right knee if you'd like. Taking pretty gentle or natural cycles of breath here for about 3 more breaths. As we inhale, maybe you reach for the sky, coming back through center. As you exhale, you could circle your wrists and open to the left, coming into your twist on this side. Again, breathing pretty naturally. We don't want to force our breath too deep in our twist. Inhaling to reach for the sky, coming back through center. Then exhaling your palms together towards the center of your chest. You could pause here if you'd like, or we'll check in with our wrists one last time. Maybe you interlace your fingers and circle your hands. When you feel ready, maybe you release your hands down, maybe you extend your legs forward, maybe you bounce your knees for a moment. And sometimes it can feel helpful here to point and flex your feet or circle your toes. Just giving some movement and attention to our feet and our toes. There's no rush here. So when you feel ready, possibly moving into your tabletop. So landing your knees beneath your hips, your hands beneath your shoulders. And if you'd like, you could pause here or find maybe some circles in your hips. So possibly sweeping your hips down towards your heels and then forward. You're always welcome to walk your hands slightly forward here if that feels helpful. Maybe you take 3 or 4 more circles. Now, as you come through what feels like center for you, maybe you begin to extend your right leg back and tuck your toes into the back of your mat. You may feel a kind of stretch into your calf muscle, sending your heel further back. If you'd like, you could rock forwards and back for a couple cycles of breath. And then as we inhale, maybe you lift your right leg. As you exhale, pointing your toes, drawing your knee towards your chest, bowing your head. Inhaling to flex your foot and extend back. As you continue this movement, you may feel that you really want to add in your left arm, and you are welcome to do that. It's really up to you. That feels balanced and comfortable today. I'll take that a few more times. Well, the next time you're inhaling to extend your right leg, maybe you pause. And then exhale to sweep your right toes to the outside of your left foot and tuck your toes into the ground there. Peeking over your left shoulder, feeling that stretch into the right side of your body. Looking at your left foot, breathing in and breathing out. As we inhale, maybe you come back through center. As you exhale, landing your toes and then sinking the inside edge of your right foot down to the mat behind you. Sweeping your left toes off the mat. Maybe you shift weight into your left hand, bringing your right hand to your waist. You're always welcome to pause here. Or if it feels interesting, maybe you lift your right leg, flexing your foot. Your right hand could stay at your waist, or you could extend your right arm up towards the sky, breathing in and breathing out. You could pause here or pointing your right toes, bending your knee. Maybe you send your right hand back to find your right foot. Maybe you find a gentle opening in your heart, breathing in. As we exhale, gently landing your right foot, sweeping your right arm in a few great big circles. Maybe taking that in both directions. And then landing your right hand when you're ready, bringing your left toes back onto the mat. And if you'd like, you could step your left toes back into our first plank of our practice and take a few gentle cycles of breath here. You're also welcome to make your way into your child's form at any time. On your next exhale, you could land one knee and then the other, widening the stance of your knees, sending your hips towards your heels, and coming down into your version of child's form. Settling in, finding a way to be in your child's form where you could stay for about 3 cycles of breath, maybe closing your eyes. There is zero rush. So really just when you feel ready, slowly beginning to melt upwards into your tabletop. If it feels instinctive, you could tuck your toes and find a downward facing dog and bend one knee and then the other. Another option is to take your cat-cow spinal wave or explore your tabletop in some way. We'll take about 3 more cycles of breath before we take that whole sequence on the other side. In your own timing, possibly sending your left toes to the back of your mat. Imagining your heel kind of moving further back than your toes, so you may feel a stretch into your calf muscle. Then you could choose to rock forwards and back. Maybe lifting your left foot off of the ground, flexing your foot to breathe in. Exhaling to point your toes, drawing your knee into your chest, rounding your upper back, bowing your head, and inhaling to extend and lengthen. Now, again, if you're really feeling that you want to add in your right arm here, you're welcome to. It's kind of up to you. We'll take this a few more times. And then maybe you extend your left leg back, breathing in. On your exhale, reaching your toes to the outside of your right foot. As you tuck your toes in there, maybe you peek over your right shoulder, feeling maybe a stretch in the left side of your body. Breathing here. Inhaling your left leg back in line with your body, landing your left toes, sinking your left foot to the end of your mat, and then sweeping your right toes off the mat behind you, shifting weight into your right hand, and maybe your left hand comes to your waist. Pausing here, or lifting your left leg, flexing your foot. If you choose to, you could extend your left arm up. Breathing here. You could explore balance here, or point your left toes and sweep your left hand back to find your left foot behind you. It's possible that you'll feel a kind of lift in your heart, breathing in. And as we exhale, landing your left foot, possibly sweeping your left arm in a few great big circles in each direction. And then landing your left hand, bringing your right toes back onto the mat, and maybe coming down into child's form, or stepping your right toes back to find your plank. This time there's an option to rock forwards and back in your plank, noticing any sensation there as you breathe. And then on an exhale, landing one knee first and then the other, widening your knees and bringing your big toes together as you melt down into your child's form. And everybody's child's form is really unique to them, as with all of our yoga movements. So feel free to adapt this form for your body. And we'll breathe here for about 3 cycles of breath. As always, there's no rush, no wrong way to move. So when you feel ready, maybe you come back towards your tabletop. You could choose to take a few cycles of your cat-cow spinal wave, or maybe you choose to find your downward facing dog. If you're feeling like you want to lift one leg and then the other in your down dog, you're welcome to explore that. As you lift one leg, you could bend at the knee and maybe stack your hips for a moment, or explore circling your knee. Just a little moment of exploration, maybe in your tabletop, maybe in your downward dog. We're going to begin slowly making our way towards a forward fold. So maybe you widen your stance in your downward dog and begin to walk your hands towards your feet. As you do that, you may notice that you want to find a little bend in your knees. And your hands can rest on your legs or on the ground, or you could bring opposite hand to opposite elbow, possibly swaying from side to side. And at a pace that feels kind to your body, with a little bend in your knees, starting to roll or unfurl yourself up towards standing. And as you make your way up to your full height, you may want to reach your arms up and breathe in, and exhale as you pull down through the air in front of your body. Inhaling to sweep slightly back and up. Exhaling to pull down through the air in front of you. And you could add in a little bend in your knees on the exhale, sending your hips slightly back. You're welcome to inhale through your nose and exhale out through your mouth. We'll just take that one last time. This time as you exhale, bending your knees, maybe you pause here, resting your hands or your elbows on your knees. Possibly a little bit of shifting from side to side. And if you'd like, you could come all the way down towards your forward fold. And if that swaying from side to side felt useful moments ago, you could try that again. Maybe you shake your head yes and no to soften your neck. And take as long as you need to unfurl and rise slowly to standing. Once again, maybe reaching up as you come to your full height, breathing in, exhaling to pull down through the air in front of you. Now you could continue this movement, reaching up to breathe in, exhaling to pull down. Another option is to begin widening your stance a little bit with your toes pointing out. And with each exhale, you could bend both knees again, inhaling to rise. And if this movement in your arms feels interesting today, you could stay with that. Another option is to kind of scoop and lift the air on the inhale in front of you, and then exhale, bending, slightly hinging forward, sweeping your arms down. So those are just two options of movements with the arms, but you can also get creative, find your own way of synchronizing your movement and your breath. On your next exhale, maybe you land your hands on your knees and shift a little bit from side to side. You could stay with that, or as you come through center, maybe you bring your right shoulder forward, looking past your left shoulder behind you. Inhaling through your center, maybe bringing your left shoulder forward, looking over your right shoulder. And then inhaling through center, sweeping your arms up as you straighten both arms and legs. Exhaling your palms together to your heart and turning your right toes to the right, your left toes forward. Maybe your right knee bends as you come into what is sometimes called warrior two. Your arms could extend wide, looking past your right shoulder. If you're tightening your jaw in this moment, you could explore using an exhale to soften your jaw or the muscles of your face. Breathing here. Now the most subtle movement here, as you turn your palms towards the sky, inhaling, maybe you lift your arms slightly as you straighten your right leg. As you exhale, bending your knee, pulling down slightly through the air with your hands. So it's a pretty subtle movement, inhaling to float upward, exhaling to pull back down. Following your breath. Maybe you continue that movement. Or maybe on your next exhale, you release your right hand to your right leg, leaning to the right. Maybe you bring your right forearm to your right leg. Your left arm could come alongside your ear. Maybe you look up at the sky, breathing in and breathing out. Using one of your inhales to sweep back towards what's sometimes called reverse warrior, sweeping your right arm up, breathing in. And then as we exhale, if you'd like, you could windmill your hands down towards a runner's lunge, tucking your left toes, landing your hands on either side of your right foot. Pausing here, or maybe you shift weight into your left hand, and if you'd like, you could reach up with your right arm, breathing in. As you exhale, sweeping your right arm slightly back and down to plant your right hand, and then pushing off with your left foot, coming into a gentle forward fold at the top of your mat. Maybe you sway from side to side, softening your head, your neck, and taking as long as you need to roll or rise to standing. Using one of your inhales to reach up and your exhales to pull down through the air. Following your breath, each exhale you could find a slight bend in your knees. Now, one alternate movement here, if you'd like, would be to exhale and release your arms alongside your body, keeping that kind of heaviness in your lower body, a little bend in your knees, and maybe your arms swing forwards and back. It's possible that you'll feel a kind of release in your shoulders here or your arms. And then inhaling to reach all the way up. Exhaling your arms down. As you begin to widen your stance, we'll find our warrior two on the other side, a bend in your left knee, maybe your arms extend wide. As you look past your left fingertips, once again, maybe softening your jaw, finding a kind of rest in the muscles of your face. With your palms facing the sky, as you inhale, maybe your left leg straightens. And as you exhale, you could gently pull down, bending your knee. Following your breath. Maybe you continue this movement. Or possibly on an exhale, you float your hands down to rest on your legs, leaning a little to the left. Maybe your left forearm supports you on your left leg. And your right arm could reach alongside your head, lifting your focus, breathing in and breathing out. Staying here or using an inhale to sweep back towards your reverse warrior, your left arm up. And on an exhale, maybe you windmill your hands on either side of your left foot, tucking your right toes to find our low runner's lunge. Pausing here, or maybe bringing weight into your right hand, and then your left arm could reach up for the sky, finding a twist. On an exhale, sweeping your left arm back and down to plant your hands, stepping your hands slightly forward so you can push off with your right foot, coming into that wide forward fold at the top of your mat. Maybe you sway a little bit from side to side. And this time, on an inhale, maybe you come about halfway up looking forwards. As you exhale, find a bend in your knees, coming back down. As you inhale, lifting through your heart, sweeping your arms wide, rising up to your full height. And exhaling as you pull down through the air. One more full cycle of breath, reaching up to breathe in. Exhaling as you pull down through the air. And there's a few options here. You could simply close your eyes and pause, finding the slightest bend in your knees, just so we're not locking our kneecaps. If you'd like movement, you could begin to find a really subtle circle in your body, kind of like you're shifting weight from one foot to the other in a circular pattern. If your eyes are closed, this may allow you to really connect to sensations of balance inside of you. You may also feel that if your eyes are open. Just trying out both directions. At any point here, you could stack one hand over the other on your heart. Noticing your body, your sensations. And as you come towards a moment of stillness, maybe you release your arms down, blinking your eyes open if they were closed. We're going to find a moment of balance by lifting our heels off of the ground if you'd like. It's possible that you begin to reach your arms up. You may even notice your focus lifting, looking slightly upward, breathing in and breathing out. One more breath in. And as you exhale, landing your heels if they're lifted, releasing your arms down, pausing in stillness, or letting your arms swing from side to side as your chest opens from right to left, maybe lifting one heel and then the other behind you. And starting to come towards what feels like center. And if there's any other movements you want to explore standing, you are welcome to stay standing and continue your practice. Otherwise, maybe coming towards the top of your mat, and I'll offer us one way of making our way back down onto the mat. So if you choose to, you could reach up to breathe in. And as you exhale, swan diving down towards your forward fold. On an inhale, maybe you lift about halfway. And as you exhale, melting back down, landing your hands and stepping your feet towards one last plank. Maybe you rock forwards and back. Inhaling to lift your hips as you step your feet slightly forward. Maybe you find one last downward facing dog, bending one knee and then the other, or keeping your legs straight. It's up to you. On an exhale, landing your knees towards your tabletop, honoring your body by seeing if you want to take any movements in your tabletop, maybe one more round of your cat-cow or a few circles in your hips or torso. There's no rush, so when you feel ready, maybe sitting to the side, sweeping your legs forward and rolling down onto your back. And if you choose to come down onto your back, you may notice that it feels instinctive to draw your knees into your chest, possibly rocking from side to side. Feeling the connection between your body and the ground beneath you. And one option here would be to start extending your legs up towards the sky. Then maybe you float your arms up as well, finding a soft moment of inversion, letting your elbows and knees get pretty soft. We're not forcing our limbs to be straight. There may be an instinct to kind of rock from side to side, possibly imagining that you're holding a great big beach ball, or that you are a giant teddy bear. And if your body wants to stay in this inversion for longer, you can. Or maybe beginning to extend your legs up and rest your hands either on your belly or on the ground, pointing your feet and letting your legs gently push into each other. Imagining your legs are one big piece of chalk and you're drawing circles on the sky above you. Let your legs circle together as you continue to breathe. And if you choose these circles, maybe try out both directions. Slowly softening your knees into your chest, letting yourself continue breathing deep, full cycles of breath. And if you're interested in a back bend or a bridge form today, you can plant your feet with your knees bent, softening your arms alongside you, pushing into the ground with your feet as you lightly tuck your tailbone and lift your hips up towards the sky. Making this moment your own. If you'd like, you could breathe here for about 4 cycles of breath. And slowly release down. Landing your heels if they were lifted, extending your arms wide like the letter T so that your knees can fall together from side to side like windshield wipers. And maybe you begin to move towards our final spinal twist, shifting your hips to the right. Maybe your knees move together to the left. Your right arm could get quite heavy, making sure your right shoulder is as soft as possible. Resting or closing your eyes. And breathing here for 5 cycles of breath. Slowly bringing your knees through your center. Shifting or sliding your hips to the left and melting your knees to the right. This time inviting your left arm and shoulder to melt into the ground and get heavy. Softening your focus or maybe closing your eyes. Breathing here. Slowly bringing your knees through center, adjusting your hips back to a place that feels restful or centered. If there's any other movements you need in your practice, you can take them. Each of us closing our practice in a way that honors our experience, our bodies, how we feel in this moment. And then beginning your transition towards rest. Your transition towards a moment when you can simply be So taking your time to get comfy. If you get all settled in for your Shavasana and then you feel like you really want to move and adjust, you can. You're never stuck in Shavasana. You can move and find a place where your mind and body are able to rest, where within the rest, you can have a tender awareness of your body and your body breathing. اليوم راني معك، غدوة تاني متمني يكتب المكتوب ونكون أحداك. أحيا قلبي شوف أحواك ونرماني فوق بحر صافي بمواج دائمة تباري يا الحب وعندك التاني وداني وساني وقلي حبيبك ما تنسى. هاي زينة ما درتي فينا أنا وقلبي حوسنا لك ملكينا. زينة ما درتي فينا أنا وقلبي حوسنا لك ملكينا. Tenderly noticing where your thoughts may have wandered. Slowly bringing your awareness to your body, your breath. Taking a few great big cycles of breath in your own way. There's no wrong way to breathe. Beginning to find a little bit of movement. Or choosing more stillness. There's an option to tenderly guide yourself towards seated. Maybe you bring your hands towards your heart, one on top of the other. And take a moment to acknowledge how far you've come. And if you'd like, you're welcome to reach all the way up, maybe breathing in. Exhaling your palms together towards the center of your chest, possibly bowing your head. Namaste. Thank you for sharing this practice with me. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening, and I look forward to seeing you all very soon. Take care.